What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about the new Specialized Stumpjumper 15 and kind of just what I liked about it. You know, I just built this up 2 weeks ago, got a few rides in. It's an S3, I'm 5'10", so I'm really going to be diving into the S sizing. I feel like it's super important. I am going to be sizing up, and there's some specific reasons for that. So again, I'm kind of just going to be going over a lot more on the sizing and geometry and kind of like a really honest, point of view on that, just because, I think a lot of people are getting a little shy or like scared on the correct size they should be riding. And I think the S sizing is so focused on your riding style and maybe not so, it's just crazy. I mean, again, everyone's kind of torn apart between like S3, S4. So, the S3 medium, it runs smaller. I really think like the S sizing, like with an S3, it's like a medium is almost like a small medium. And the S4 is almost like a large slash, medium slash large. So we'll get into that. So again, this is the Stumpjumper 15. Came out not too long ago. This is the S-Works edition. It's pretty nicely built up. We got the Mavens, we got the Zeb, XX transmission. Again, S3, I'm 5'10". This bike is 32 pounds the way it's built up. So it's pretty light for a trail bike. We have it set up at 160, so you lose a little bit on the reach, about 5 millimeters. You can run it at 150, 160. Again, I put a 160 Zeb on there. This thing is like so plush, so nice. And I'll also dive into the Genie and whether it's a good shock for you. So yeah, let's get going. All right, so let's go over the sizing first. I'm 5'10", riding an S3. Going to be riding an S4. I think it's very crucial. The reach is so short on this bike. Again, like for an S3, they're kind of categorized as a medium. It runs Specialized, the S sizing, it runs smaller. S3, it's almost like a small medium. This is a 445 reach with a 160 fork, and it's going to be 450 with a 150 fork. And the wheelbase is pretty short, so you kind of have to flip the chip and the headset and everything to get it to a longer wheelbase if you wanted more stability. This is where knowing yourself as a rider comes into play. I ride all medium bikes across the board, trail, and for my trail bike, the Switchblade or Enduro SB160. Those are like 465 to 475 reach with a long wheelbase, but it's such a drastic change, and I want it to be a 160 fork. 445, it's short. So what I noticed was the bike was really fun, flickable, but I love to pin the downs. I'm an Enduro rider at heart, so I'm standing up the majority of the time. When I'm standing up, I could feel the pressure because the reach is so short that it's, my hands were in pain on even short trails. I knew right then and there, like not the right size. I was able to flip the chip and everything and the headset cup to be a similar wheelbase like my Switchblade, kind of like 1,222 millimeters. It's kind of what I wanted, but this kind of starts at 1,203-ish, around there, and can get to 1,222 or so. Again, sizing is can be just really based on your riding style. I think if you're my height, you're not pinning the downs, you're not standing up on the bike as much. You'll probably be fine. But if you're really an aggressive rider and you're my height, 5'10", you might not want the S3, you might want the S4. The S4, when you jump up to that, you're getting almost like an enduro geometry bike. The wheelbase gets pretty long. It doesn't get any crazy big, doesn't get any larger than my SB160 at a medium. But again, you're getting more stability out of the bike because the wheelbase gets longer. You do have a longer reach. I think the reach is like 475. If you do a 160 fork, it's going to be like 470, which is my comfortability. I love a reach like that. So, and also maybe you are 5'10", maybe you do ride shorter reach bikes and you're so used to it, and that's just your riding style. And even just standing up, again, it was a hard transition for me because all my other bikes, there was a long reach for mediums versus this. So again, I think Specialized, it's almost like they have to have like a 3.5 S sizing. So an S4 is gonna fit the bill for me. I can already tell just by riding this, it's gonna feel a lot better. So again, this bike was fun, but I love to be able to stand for long periods of time like an enduro rider on the downs. And that's where I felt again, the pain here, everywhere else was fine. But again, if you're not really doing that, you're doing more of a trailier vibe, you're sitting on the bike a lot, maybe standing not for long periods of time. And there's other things that, you know, you have to account for. Like I'm 5'10", I kind of have longer arms than a usual 5'10" rider. So like that can affect the, you know, some of the problem with the reach too. But again, I'm just so used to a longer reach. Maybe if I was on a short travel bike for a long period of time before all this, and I was like maybe an SP 120 or the Trail 429 where it's kind of like that 455-ish reach, you know, still longer than this, but it wouldn't be as big of a shell shock. So I think like when you're going into this at, you know, even for the other sizing too, like really look at the geometry of the bike you're riding and kind of look at the Stumpjumper geometry, because some of it, again, if you're really in that S3 sizing and below, that's where it's a drastic change in the geometry. I can't stress it enough. And you'll probably post, like, you know, I posted on a Specialized forum, just like I already knew the answer, but I want to see everyone else's response. And a lot of people my height, they're on S4s. Some people are S3s, but again, it is rider specific. The S sizing is based on riding style. So maybe you just want a more flickable bike and you're not standing on the downhills as much. Like maybe you're my height, S3 is going to be fine. But maybe you just want more stability out of the ride and you are standing kind of like doing more enduro riding. S4 is definitely the way to go, but to each his own. You can go through Reddit, you can go through forums, like everyone's gonna tell you something different. So maybe the best thing to do is just kind of go into a shop and sit on a bike. Not really much you can do. Like again, like I sat on this, even just riding it around in the front of the shop here, you can't really feel it. I had to really stand on the bike for like minutes at a time on the downs. And that's where I noticed at the end of the trail, I was like, wow, like I've never really experienced this much fatigue in my hands and around here too. So again, it gets very tight here, again, with the reach and everything. And this is with the 50 mil stem. You know, reach isn't really based off of like your stem and stuff. There's plenty of ways, like again, what factors into reach is also your stack. You know, the C-tube angle can also play, you know, just all plays together. So I really think that just know yourself as a rider before going in, maybe compare the geometry chart of an S3 and an S4 or other sizes to what you're currently riding and really comfortable with. Because if you see that big change, again, like I'm used to a 465, 475 reach, to go to 445 is like just such a big change that it just shell shocked my system. So again, other areas of the bike, maneuverability, climbing, like this bike can climb. It's so great at climbing, but again, like I do a lot of aggressive downhill riding, so I kind of need to size up. So that's just my take on the S sizing. Let us know what you think of the S sizing in the comments below. But yeah, we'll dive into the Genie shock next. Okay, we talked about the S sizing a little bit. Hope that helped. Let's talk about the Genie shock. All right, the shock it's pretty awesome. Couple things here. There's not too much dabbling you can do with the settings here. You know, you have an open mode, you have a firm mode, couple other little things. Obviously you have rebound, but if you're used to high speed, low speed compression damping settings, you'll probably want to take this off and put something else on. I was already going to throw on a Vivid, but I did dabble with the tokens. You know, it's tough. You know, you don't want to constantly be doing that left and right if you're doing really aggressive riding. I really can't stress this enough. I think it's a great shock for the majority of people. If you do already like to play with your suspension settings, like I love to dabble with high speed, low speed compression. I know myself as a rider, I'm a very aggressive rider. I really need to be able to fine tune the suspension based on the trail I'm riding. You're probably gonna wanna switch the Genie shock out to something like, you know, a Vivid or something that just has high speed, low speed compression. It doesn't have to be a Vivid, it could be a Super Deluxe, whatever, or Fox equivalent, Float X. I think the high speed, low speed compression damping settings are kind of what I would want. But again, a lot of riders, they like to set it and forget it. They are fine with just sticking a couple tokens in. It does get complicated to be able to use those features, high speed and low speed compression and rebound and all that. And a lot of riders I know, they're not messing around with that stuff. They kind of like it the way it is and just, again, set and forget it. It's a great shock for that. But again, like I had to dabble after a few rides just with the tokens and the bottomless, you know, the ones that go on the outside of the air canister, like in here. And again, I can already tell it's gonna be like way too much for me to keep having to do that. So On the S4 sizing, because I am sizing up, I'll probably be putting a Vivid on it. It has a hydraulic bottom out bumper, high speed, low speed compression, kind of all the settings I need to pair with my fork. So again, I think the Genie is a great shock for most people. If you're gonna be doing a little bit more of a racier setup, I think just having something with high speed, low speed compression is gonna be amazing on this bike. So that is something that I'm very happy or excited to try on the S4 sizing. Okay, so we talked about the Genie shock. Let's move on to the brakes. I usually run Hope brakes. There's a separate video out that is talking about the Mavens. So I moved the Mavens onto this bike and they are great. I did not have any issues with these brakes. I think they're in a weird spot in the industry. Some people are having issues with them, some people aren't. I have not. I didn't even have to do the massaging of the pistons. They were great, just me hooking up the hydraulic hose, everything. They've been perfect. Perfect modulation. They're so powerful, so I think it's a great brake if you touch the brakes less, actually. What I mean by that is, if you're someone who's like really relying on the brakes left and right, you're brake jacking, it's gonna be very powerful. You might wanna stick with the codes. If you're a fast rider, you're kind of feathering the brake here and there, you get to benefit from that high, the more powerful brake. And if you're not doing it often, you're not gonna be brake jacking even more. So that's just another thing that I picked up on, but it's great. It's a sweet brake. I actually love a firmer lever throw. So again, it's a little tougher here, but again, I've been reading some things online where some people have some arm pains, some people don't. Again, just kind of have to do a leap of faith, I guess. I mean, I've been enjoying them. I usually run Hope brakes. I'm not a huge Shimano fan. Usually on Shimano, there's like a migrating bite point. Tell me in the comments how you guys feel about your brake setup, but I really think that, if you're looking for a new brake, go try some Mavens out. These are the Ultimates. You don't have to get the Ultimates. The bronzes are pretty good too, but it is nice to have the bite point adjust, so maybe the silvers are a pretty good option too, but these are great. I mean, I love a bite point that's further, I don't like it to pull to my knuckles, so where they're biting now, that's perfect for me. So again, some people, I think it's hit or miss. Some people are loving these, some people are a little bit disappointed. I think the more disappointed people are, it's mainly they kind of have to set it up a little bit more, I guess. Like, again, it's a new product. It's kind of like you get a phone. If you get a phone, you could get a bad batch sometimes, and it is what it is. Same thing in the bike industry. Maybe when these were first coming out and those interviews were starting to accumulate and roll out, there's a little bit of a bad batch out there. Enough time has passed where I think they got that settled. So I haven't had any issues. I know that some people were massaging the pistons, doing countless brake bleeds. I've done enough rides on these. I didn't have to do anything yet. So again, I'm still giving it a long-term review, but as far as getting a few rides in, I haven't had any issues. So, I'd love to do a long-term review, but for now they're great. And, try them out. Let us know what you think if you're running the Mavens. If you're loving them or if you're having problems, just let us know in the comments. Again, I think it's a sweet brake. And we talked about the brakes, the Genie. Let's go into the fork. So I decided, like most people are probably gonna do, maybe not, but I see where the trend's going. 160 fork. If you buy the bike complete stock, it's gonna come with a 150 fork. I chose to do 160. I also chose to run the Zeb instead of a Lyric. I'm actually running the Lyric on a different bike. I just love how the Zeb feels. Those 38s are just like the 38 stanchions. They feel so good. This one, I did upgrade the Charger damper. So this one has the Charger 3.1 damper. It used to have the 3.0, so I did do the upgrade kit, tore the damper apart, was able to switch that out. So this is 3.1 damper, all the good new stuff. So far it feels great. I'll do an in-depth video on the long-term review of that compared to maybe the Grip X, the new damper, but I've been a huge RockShox fan recently. They've been killing it. So, that's kind of the reason why I want to throw a Vivid on here. I've had the Vivid on some other bikes, and it's just been flawless for me. And just being able to set it up and dial it up the way I want and be able to use high-speed, low-speed compression, it's been a blast. All right, and let's talk about the drivetrain. I'm pretty sure all of these you have to use wireless drivetrains, which some people, if they're loving Shimano, they're gonna be disappointed, but hey, I'm pretty sure Shimano's coming out with something new that's gonna fix that, so we'll see what happens there. But I chose the XX transmission. Again, there's different levels of it. You don't have to run transmission. You can run the older stuff with the SRAM hanger, but you know, the transmission has been great. I've been loving it. Haven't had any issues on any of my other bikes. I shouldn't say any issues. I think the only thing, which probably every SRAM transmission owner kind of has, is this cage hangs down low, so it does scrape up a bit and can hit those rocks. It is cool though. MRP came out with something, that a little cover here that you can get, so I'm interested to try that. So something to look out for in the future. I will be getting that, but I think that's really it. The shifting's really good. I have people come up to me all the time and it's like, oh, it shifts really slow, and I'm just casually pedaling. It's like, well, transmission shifts better when you're putting torque down. So that's kind of like what it's supposed to do. The more pressure and torque you're putting down, it will shift better with those shift ramps. So that's like just kind of like great even for e-bikes, you know, like you're gonna have like more, it's gonna work even better for e-bikes, I should say, because it's gonna shift better under the amount of power you're putting down with like the motors. So you're not gonna be buzzing through those drivetrains a lot faster. So I think it's a great drivetrain all around. I've been loving it, been running it for 1.5 years on all of my bikes. So yeah, it's sweet. We got DT Swiss carbon wheels, EXC 1501s. It's got the 240 hubs with the 54 tooth ratchet. That's been good. Usually I run 511 aluminum wheels, but I had these lying around, so I'm still getting used to them. Bladed spokes, straight pull. Usually I like J-bend, but again, we'll see how it is. For tires, doing Maxxis Minion DHR2 29 2.4s. You know, 2.4s are just great. I think this goes to 2.4 in the back, but you could probably run this space for a little bit more. You could try 2.5s, and then this is an Assegai 2.5 in the front. You know, oh, the rotors. You can only run 200 rotors in the back. You can't do 180s. So 200 is the minimum in the back. You can run bigger, same with the front. You can run bigger in the front. The front, you can do whatever you want. The back though, you know, when I guess I didn't do this bit of research, but you have to be running a 200 minimum rotor. It doesn't need an adapter. So just something to think about. Again, the Stumpjumper 15 is kind of like it's pretty much the Evo. You know, they're kind of like rescaling their bikes. You know, you have the Epic, you have the Epic Evo. So the Epic Evo is almost like the new Stumpjumper, and this is like the new Stumpjumper 15. I mean, this is Stumpjumper 15. This is almost the new Evo, just with 5 less millimeter travel. The Evo is 150, this is 145. They're gonna be doing something with the Enduro. You know, they prolonged the life a little bit with the UDH chain, like adapter, or I guess like, you know, they really just redid that one area, but you know, they're still working on that. But I mean, again, Charles Murray, like, they're using this as their Enduro bikes. This bike's winning or coming in the top 5, you know, in the Enduro circuit with these Stumpjumper 15s or the Stumpjumper Evos. So again, this is not replacing pretty much the regular Stumpjumper. They're just restructuring a lot of their stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, this bike has been sweet. It is ride wrapped, but really want to just put this out there mainly on the S sizing, and then going through a little bit of things here and there. But I think know yourself as a rider for the S sizing. It can get complicated. You're gonna see charts. You're gonna see it say medium. Don't even go by that. Go based off of the geo of your current bike, what you're comfortable with. Go sit on one at the shop. I think it gets a little bit trickier when you're a medium like me and you're looking at the S3 and you're like, it says medium, but there's a lot of overlap with the S sizing. I mean, it even says I could ride an S5, which I don't know how I'm riding an S5, but an S4 is gonna be perfect. It's comparable geo is to that of like the Enduro bikes that I ride. So, you know, again, I think that's just gonna be a way better fit for me. But let us know what you think. If you're riding Stumpjumpers or just interested, leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you're local to the area, stop by the shop. If not, we can always answer questions through the comment section. So yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next video.